Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is David Snyder. I'm a support specialist here at Aladtec. Today's webinar should run about 45 minutes, starting off with just a brief overview of Aladtec. Then I'll hand it off and you can get right into looking at an overview of the Aladtec system. So today we'll go over some features such as the member database, which is a great tool for setting up work qualifications, tracking member certifications, setting up messaging notifications, and much more. Then we'll talk a little bit about our schedule views and dive into some of the different ways you can view things such as trades, time off, events, and really see how you can filter it to get the exact information you need to see at any given time. We'll go over our customizable forms feature, which allows you to go paperless by creating electronic forms such as rig checks, end of shift reports, PO requests, and whatever specific forms your department or agency might need. From forms, we can share a little bit about how Aladtec reports work. See how you can take all the information in your Aladtec system and really filter it down and generate some really useful reports. Finally, we'll have a brief Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If you do have questions during the webinar, go ahead and post them in our GoToWebinar questions panel, and a support representative will be monitoring those and answer them as they come in, and maybe save a few to share with everyone at the end. So what is Aladtec? We're an online scheduling and workforce management software solution specially built from the ground up to handle the unique staffing habits of public safety agencies across the US and Canada. We started in 2002 as a web-based scheduling system for a local ambulance service, and since then, Aladtec has grown to host more than 2,300 agencies with 145,000 users across the US and Canada. Today, we're based here in River Falls, Wisconsin, about 30 minutes east of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Our fire rescue customers range from small rural departments with 20 members to large urban agencies with hundreds of firefighters and paramedics across multiple stations. We do everything here in-house from engineering and configuration to sales and support as well. When you call, you'll always speak with a real person in Wisconsin. You can access Aladtec anytime online via desktop, tablet, or smartphone. It updates instantly so you always have the most up-to-date version of your schedules and other content. There are no extra costs. We provide all setup, training, and unlimited telephone support as long as you're an Aladtec user. With Aladtec, it's all customizable. We can create schedules as unique as your department needs. As long as you can describe the pattern, we can help you replicate it as a schedule. Speaking of schedules, let's switch gears here now and we'll give you an overview of Aladtec's features and some of its benefits, and this will help you determine whether our system is a good fit for your organization.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Mariah Bolden, and as you just saw in that brief video there, today we will be going through an Aladtec system to show you some of the features that are available. With that, this outline we're going through today is going to be kind of a generic overview of some of the capabilities of our system. However, if you are interested in seeing a custom demo that can show you all of the features that are available for your specific system, feel free to reach out to us with any of the contact information provided there in the chat section or in the emails that you receive from us there as well. But right now, getting started going through the system, I'll begin with this page that we're looking at, which is going to be the home page of the system for you. On the home page here, you'll see there's going to be two different sections that are available. The first one is going to be the dashboard here on the right-hand side, and the other will be this center section, which is kind of like a virtual bulletin board where you can post any information that you would like about the or about your system there. So if you want to post birthdays, policy reminders, events happening at your organization, any information that you want to share with your team and you want them to see whenever they log into the Aladtec system, you're able to easily post on this home page by hovering over home at the top and clicking on the option here for Homepage Editor as an administrator of the system. From there, you'll be able to dive in and change that information using this Word style editor so your team will see whatever information you want them to. That other half of the home page is that dashboard on the right-hand side, and that's going to be quite a bit different because unlike the general center section there, that bulletin board, the information in the dashboard is going to be custom to each individual's logins and permissions within your Aladtec system. Right now, I'm viewing the system from an administrative point of view. And with that, I'm able to see any of the administrative changes that might need to be addressed. Anything from users requesting trades, requesting time off, requesting to sign up for open shifts, or requesting extra hours. As an administrator, I'm able to see those requests and click on and process those right from here as well. Beyond that, I will be able to see any of my own upcoming shifts. And if you do choose to track any licenses or certifications within the member database of our system, you'll be able to see any that are expired or expiring shortly right here as well. Beyond that, you will be able to see any events that are on the calendar that you have added in, or if you don't have administrative rights within the system, that are relevant to your specific schedules as well. When somebody who is not an administrator in the system takes a look, it's going to be quite a bit different for them. They won't be stuck seeing all of those administrative tasks at the top of the page because it's not relevant to that user. But they will be able to see their own upcoming shifts, and as I noted, any of those events that are relevant specific to them, they'll be able to see right from here as well. The next thing that I'm going to pull over to is that member database that I was discussing, where you can track that information for licenses or certifications, or really anything else you want to track for the users in your organization. To pull up to that, I can click Members up at the top of the screen. That'll bring me to a view with the users' names on the left-hand side of the screen, and information that you can track for those users will show across the top as well. Anything that's expired will show up on this page in a red font, and expiring shortly will show up in a maroon type font here as well. Of course, these columns at the top of the page are just examples of information that you're more than welcome to track, but anything you want to track within the Aladtec system, you're more than welcome to. Some examples of things that some organizations like to pull in are emergency contact information, home addresses for the users, really anything you could want to have tracked and on file for your team, you're more than welcome to have put here into your Aladtec system. We do understand that any information you choose to put into this system is your information, and we want to make sure that you have full access to pull that out of the system whenever you see as appropriate as well. With that being said, you'll always have the ability here in the top right-hand corner to get a print-friendly version of that information or export it as a CSV file, which will open up for you in Excel, Google Sheets, OneDrive, wherever you do that processing information. Next thing to pull up to here, we'll be viewing a specific individual's profile to show you how all of these fields will tie into each user. For that, I'm going to go ahead here and hover over Herbert's name and select the option to Edit Member to pull up that individual's profile. At the top of the page, of course, we'll see that first name, last name, username, and where you're able to send an alert out to reset that password for one of your team members there. But one thing to note is each individual at your organization will be able to have their own login and their own password to the system. So they'll have their own specific profile where they can see all of their information and everything that pertains directly to them. Beyond that, I do like to discuss the access levels in the system here, because this is where you're able to define who's able to make what changes to your Aladtec system. You'll see that this system we're looking at right now currently has 4 access levels available. The top access level here is the top level administrator, and that will be the one for the users who have the ability to change everything and anything within the system. Add and remove members, modify the member database, update any schedules, run reports. Anything you see me do today, top level administrators in the system will have full access to do as well. Past that, you can create any additional levels and profiles that you might need to fit all of the other abilities within your system. So if there's some users that you need to have just the very, very basic permissions, we typically call that the member permissions. That's going to be the ability to do things such as log in, see your own upcoming shifts, request trades, request time off, but those will of course be requests that will still need to go through the administrator to be approved within the system there as well. Past that, maybe you need a battalion chief permission level where they can make some changes to the schedule and modify the member database, but maybe they don't have the ability to change all schedules or to change the definitions of the schedules. So you can really create as many different levels of permissions as you need within your organization here to make sure that it fits all of the rules you have available for your team. We do also have work groups here, which is where you're able to define the working rules for your members. Can they sign up for shifts? Are they allowed to trade? Are there restrictions on their trades? What do you define overtime as? We know that sometimes these rules tend to be different for different groups of individuals, so you do have the ability to create those different work group profiles to make sure that each user has the correct rules assigned to them and the rest of their team. Beyond that, we do have messaging information available within the system here. So you can receive text messages and emails through the system with alerts as to if a time off request has been approved or denied. The member will be able to get that sent to them by email or text. They can also set it up for people who are part-time or volunteers who maybe have inconsistent shifts. They can choose to get an alert sent to their phone by text and or email 24 hours before the start of their shift, so they get that quick reminder of where they need to be and when they need to be there as well. As you can see, there are plenty of messaging options within the system, so really, if a change happens to a user's schedule, they should be able to get that alert by text and or email, alerting them to that change as well. Beyond that are the work qualifications, and of course this section here with schedules and positions is going to be customizable for every single system that's built. However, the schedules and positions are defined is going to set up which users are able to work which positions within your system. So right here, I'm looking at Herbert's profile, and I can see that Herbert has permission to work as an EMT, firefighter, or paramedic on Engine 1, Engine 2, Medic 1, or the special event schedule. This is going to ensure that Herbert is only sent notifications for open positions that they're qualified to fill. So in this case, if there's an open captain position, Herbert's not going to be stuck getting that alert because they're not qualified to fill that position. They're also only going to be able to trade into or be put into those positions that they're qualified for as well. So it'll give you that peace of mind that users are only being put into positions that they're qualified to work on your schedule. Our system is set up to work with time off accrual profiles as well. So you can set it up so that users are automatically accruing hours within the system here. They'll also have full access to see the number of hours that are in their current accrual bank, as well as see the full history associated with that accrual bank as well. They can see when they earned hours, used hours, when their time off that was on the schedule was canceled and hours were automatically put back into their bank. Every single change that happens there is going to be fully tracked, and all time off accrual profiles are going to be completely customizable, and you can set them up to automatically advance from one profile to the next profile as well. Beyond that is everything I was noting earlier can be completely customized to whatever you want to have tracked within your Aladtec system. To change around the information showing up in the member database, you can hover over members at the top and pull over to the member database configurator, where you're able to use the options here on the left-hand side to drag and drop and add additional fields. As you see, you can have expiration dates, short answers, you can have attachment fields, and over here you'll see all of the options that are going to be available. To add in a new field, you'll simply click on the field, hold, and drag and drop that wherever you might want it to be. You can add in a new title as you see fit, and as soon as you hit save, that field is going to be available to be filled out for each of the users at your organization. After finishing up here in the member database, the next thing that I wanted to pull over to is going to be the schedule section. Clicking schedules at the top of the page is going to bring me over to a view that's showing the full month calendar for the entire organization. There's definitely a handful of colors and labels that I want to make sure to touch on here, but before digging in too deep to that, I did want to note that this view that we're looking at right now is not the only view that's available within the system. If you look in the top right-hand corner of the screen here, you'll see that there's actually 8 different calendar views that you're more than welcome to look at. Some of the other favorite views are the daily summary view, and that's going to give you a quick at a glance what's happening for any single day within the system. And another favorite, one of my favorites, is the weekly shifts view to see a full week's worth of information in one view rather than just a specific day or an entire month. Of course, all of these views are going to be available in every single Aladtec system created. So for your specific organization, you're able to pick and choose and see what you want to be the default and what you think might be the best fit. For the purpose of our discussion today, I will be sticking mostly with this monthly calendar view, but if you do sign up for a demo of our system here, we'll make sure that you have full access to play with all different views of the system as well. Some of the labels showing up here I wanted to make sure to touch on. You'll see up at the top of the day, you can have your different shift assignments as well as colors associated with those different shifts. Any time off on our calendar is going to be able to show up in orange with the user's name and the type of time off that they're on listed as well. If somebody has requested time off and it has not yet been approved by an administrator, that'll show up like you see here on the 15th with that green A telling us that that time off has not yet been approved by an administrator. Users will still show as responsible for working their shifts until that time off is approved as well. Any trades on the calendar show up in green, letting us know who's working for who and the time frame that was traded. You'll also be able to see these green arrows next to the user shift so you can easily point out who's working that day due to a trade rather than a normally scheduled shift. Open positions on your calendar will show up in purple with the position title rather than the user's name and the time frame highlighted in purple as well. If you have individuals requesting to fill those open positions on your calendar, those will also show up down below in purple with this green A telling us that it's pending the approval of an administrator. You'll see up above here in gray, we have our extra hours. So extra hours are a tool that's available within our system that allows a user to submit if they ended up working an additional amount of time past when they were scheduled to work. So I can see here up above that Ronald has requested extra hours for this day. They were supposed to be off at 0700, but ended up staying an additional hour of time. This green A here tells me that this is still pending the approval of an administrator, and to process any of those requests showing up with a green A, you're able to click on that request, and you'll be able to see all of the information associated with it. From here, you'll be able to see when the information was submitted by Ronald, any notes that they had sent over related to that, and you can quickly and easily approve those hours right from there. As soon as you select the option to approve, you'll be able to run reports on those hours, just like anything else within the system as well. You can set up minimum staffing alerts on your schedule, both for levels of licenses and permissions, as well as just pure number of individuals on the shift as well. You'll see that some days do have this little post-it note tied to the schedule, and that'll be how you can add general notes to any team. In this case, Engine 2 has a note that they need to complete vehicle checks by end of shift on the 13th. Those notes can easily be added by any administrator within your system just by hovering over the day and selecting the option to add note. With that selected, as soon as the information is added in and save as selected, that note is going to be available for all users to see from any view of the system as well. Really quickly, I did want to talk a bit through what those individual members of the system are seeing when they go to log in. So for that, I am going to quickly look from that point of view of Herbert again. You can set it up that those general users of the system have access to see the full calendar view so they can see who's working when, and of course they'll have their own shifts highlighted there in yellow. However, most of the time, those general users at the organization tend to spend the majority of their time on this My Schedule page because it's where they can do everything they need related to their own upcoming shifts. They can see any of the open positions on the calendar here in purple and click on and request to sign up for those shifts as well. They'll also be able to see all of their own shifts in blue, and they can click on their own shifts and from there request trades or request time off. When requesting time off, if you do have the option available within your system for accruals turned on, users will be able to choose the type of time off they want, and from there, they'll be able to see how many hours they have in their bank, how many hours the request is for, and what would be in their bank if that time off was approved by an administrator. Users will be able to see any days on the schedule that do not meet minimum staffing levels, so they can easily point out which shifts they might really need to sign up for because the department does need additional staffing on those dates. This is also the page where a user will be able to go in and submit if they stayed an additional amount of time. They can do that by just hovering over the date and selecting the option to submit extra hours. From there, they can choose the time range as they see appropriate, select the schedule, and position that they were working for that specific time frame as well. They can also add in any notes, and when that request is sent over, it will show up with gray, with that green A telling us that it's still pending the approval of an administrator. Another feature that'll be available from this page that is pretty popular with people who might be part-time, volunteers, or just those general users at your organization is the Share My Schedule option available here on the left-hand side. When you select Share My Schedule, that user will have the ability to check the boxes of information that's important to them, and when they press the option to Get Link, they'll have a link and instructions for how to take their Aladtec schedule information and pull it into their personal calendar so they can see that side by side with other jobs they may have or with baseball games, doctor's appointments, so they can see that information in their personal calendar. All of the tools that we're discussing here on this My Schedule page are also going to be available for those general users in the mobile version. So we'll take a quick glance at what that will look like as well. In the mobile site here, the users will have the ability right away to see their own upcoming shifts on the schedule, any trades, open shifts that they can pick up, and their own time off as well. As I noted though, they do have full access to those capabilities we are seeing on that My Schedule page, and they can access all of that information by selecting the menu button in the top right-hand corner of the mobile site. From there, they can pull up to Forms, see that daily summary so they can see anyone working on any given day, or select that My Schedule page where they'll be able to see their own shifts. Same as before, they can request time off, request trades, sign up for open shifts on the calendar, or even have the ability to request those extra hours right from here as well. So all of those basic functionalities that those users will need day to day are going to be fully available from the mobile version as well as from the full site. Back over to the full site here in the administrative point of view, we can start talking through processing things on the schedule as an administrator within the system. You'll notice that any day in the future here that has this blue envelope available on the schedule is going to be when there is an open position available. That envelope is what allows you to send out an alert saying that you need someone to come in and cover a shift. When you click on that blue envelope, you'll have two options available. The first one is going to be to just select the position that you need coverage for and click Send over here on the right-hand side. What that'll do is it'll actually take a look at that permission information we are discussing in the member database, and it'll send a pre-populated email and text message with all of the shift information to all of the users in your system who are qualified to work that specific schedule and position, who are not already scheduled to work at that time, and who are not listed as on time off. Once you click Send here, all of those users will simultaneously receive that notification and can log in and sign up for that position so that you as the administrator can make the decision as to who is going to receive that shift. The other option that we have available from this page is the ability to send out a staggered notification profile. What that will allow you to do is to rotate through a list of individuals. So if you do have a rotating overtime list that maybe goes by last time they accepted a shift or by seniority or number of hours within a specific time frame, all of that information can be sorted through when using that staggered notification profile, and you're able to send it out one at a time through that specific order that you have defined as well. Once you send those alerts out, maybe you send out that simultaneous one, you'll get those signups showing on the schedule like this. Those are always going to show in the order of whoever signed up first. So in this case, I know that Ronald signed up before Elmer. If I was to click on this sign up here for Ronald and select the option to approve, Ronald will right away be put into that position on the calendar. And at that point, Ronald will receive a notification letting them know that they did receive that shift, and Elmer will be able to receive that notification letting them know that they did not receive that shift as well. Past that, the other place within the system where you might make those day-to-day changes is going to be our hourly editor. You can access that page by hovering over schedules at the top and clicking hourly editor, or by hovering over the specific day and selecting edit schedule. From there, you'll be able to see your shift schedule information for the entire day. In this case, I can see the sign up for these two users. I can choose if I want to sort by who has the fewest hours for year to date in this case, but you can always click edit at the top to pick and choose the information you're pulling in. So if I just want to see the hours worked for this specific pay period, I do have the ability to pull that information in, and I can see here that Abel has fewer hours, so maybe that's who I want to approve the sign up for. I can click on that sign up, select the option to approve, and as soon as that's done, Abel will be put into the position. From this page, you as the administrator can also make any other day-to-day changes you might need. So for example, if Tammy calls off sick and I need to pull that user off of the schedule, I can hover over the three lines to the left-hand side of the user shift and select the option to submit time off. As the admin, I can choose the type that's needed from the drop-down list. And as soon as I hit approve, that user will be pulled off of the shift, we'll get our minimum staffing alert, and we'll be able to send that blue envelope out. Maybe Seth is going to cover that position on Engine 2 rather than working their current position, so you need to move that user from Engine 1 to Engine 2. You can also from this page click and hold on a user's name and drag and drop them to another schedule where you'll be able to get that updated, showing the user working in a different position at that point. From here, you can also hover over user shifts and click and hold on the purple arrow to other side to adjust the time frames of the shifts for the individuals. So any of those little day-to-day changes that might take place in your organization will probably be done here in the hourly editor. And if you do a demo of our system, I definitely recommend playing around with this page because like I said, it is where the majority of people tend to spend a lot of time within the system as well. Pulling back over to the schedules here for one quick overview, keep in mind how users are on the schedule is going to be by those rotations. So if you do have a pattern or a rotating schedule that your users are put on the schedule on, that can definitely be set up using our repeats and rotations tool here. That tool is going to be able to repeat any pattern, whether it takes 26 weeks to repeat or if it's an every other day sort of thing. We can get your schedule built up with however those repetitions work within your system. We do have a virtual time clock available within our system here. So if your organization does require users to clock in and clock out for each individual shift, that can be set up through our system on any computer within your organization, or you can even set it up so that users can clock in from their own individual cell phones. Next thing to pull over to is going to be our form section here. So forms in our system are going to allow you to track information for basically anything that might happen in your organization. As you can see here, we have options for ambulance mechanical, coaching and counseling, weekly vehicle checklist, end of shift report. Really anything that you can think of, we should be able to get a form built into the system that users will be able to fill out and submit from any device that has internet access. When I select the option to edit form configuration up at the top of the page, you'll see that we get an outline that's pretty similar to that member database configurator that we were taking a look at earlier, where it has a list of fields available on the left-hand side here and an outline of that general form in the center section. Once again, to add in any information, you can just click and hold, drag and drop that field wherever you might want it to be, add a title as you see appropriate, and once you hit save, those users will be able to walk around that vehicle, snap a photo, and attach it directly to this form as well. On the right-hand side of the screen here, you'll see that we do have quite a few sample forms available for organizations to take a look at. Lately, some of the favorites have been the COVID-19 forms where they can have it set up for employee screenings, so users can quickly fill out the information when they come in for their shift, noting any symptoms or a lack of symptoms that they've been experiencing as well. Of course, all of the information in our system, although we do have the sample forms that are going to be customizable, you'll always have the option to start from scratch, design a new form here, and build it out to match up with whatever you might need for your specific organization as well. Once again, we do know that any of the information submitted in these forms is your information, and we want to make sure that you can pull that out of the system however you need. So you will always be able to run reports on any of those forms that are available within your system. When you do run those reports, you'll be able to see all of the submissions, and you can even click edit at the top of the page here. So if you do need to narrow it down to submissions sent maybe just by a specific individual, maybe Herbert in this case, you can narrow that information down and select apply. Once again, because it's your info, you will also be able to export that information out of the system using this option available here in the top right-hand corner of the screen. We do have other reports available within our system that are going to relate to the hours that are showing up on your schedule. Some of those other favorite reports are going to be the scheduled time report and the summary report. The summary report is basically what it sounds like. It's going to give you a summary of hours. You can choose the time frame that you need to see the information for. In this case, we're looking specifically for a pay period, and you'll be able to see the information that you choose using this edit option at the top of the page. So maybe we just need to see the information related to the different labels associated with shifts and paid time off. I can choose just those two options, hit apply, and see that information narrowed down. You can see the totals for each individual at your organization, as well as the departmental totals for that time frame down at the bottom of the page. If you need kind of similar information to this, but rather than just seeing those lump sum numbers, you want to see the individual shifts that make up those numbers, that's when I would recommend pulling up to the scheduled time report, because that will allow you to see each of those shifts and of course the totals for the users next to that as well. Once again, you're able to adjust the time frame that you're looking at and can click edit at the top of the page to customize any of the other information. But this will allow you to see not only the number of hours the user worked, but the time frames they worked and the schedule and position those hours were related to as well. You'll also be able to pull in any information you might need for paid time off or extra hours within your system. And once again, this will be able to be exported out of the system or printed as well. The final report to touch on within our system here is going to be the system log. And this one's quite a bit different than the rest of the reports showing up within our system. It's actually going to be a virtual audit trail of everything and anything that happens within your system, so you're able to always have your thumb on what changes are being made. You'll be able to see everything from a user logging into the system, requesting a trade, realizing they accidentally requested a trade for the wrong day, canceling that request and resubmitting it with somebody else. Every single one of those actions is going to be tracked, so you'll always be able to look back and see that information. Or maybe you're making some changes to the system, you get called away, you need to come back and pick back up. You'll always be able to check the system log to see where you left off on that information within your system as well. Under our storage section here, you have 200 gigabytes of storage space to hold anything and everything you might want at your organization as well. A lot of organizations will create a folder for SOPs, and then you can have subfolders beneath that for different topics. You can also set up a folder for training videos and documentation with subfolders for different types of training. Any information that you need to have stored and you want your users to have access to, you can upload here to the storage area to ensure they have that access. You can also restrict access to specific folders within your system as well. So if you only want them to have access to certain options, you can set that up too. Next feature that I wanted to make sure to touch on today was going to be our required messages section as well. Required messages here are going to be an option that's available within the system that's quite a bit different than the rest of the messaging options we discussed today, because it actually stays completely and totally internal to the system here. When I select the option to create new message, I can add in any information I need. So if there is a new SOP or you need somebody to stop by your office before they leave for the end of their shift, you can put in whatever you need for the title and add in any message or information you need below that. From there, you can choose if you want that to go to specific groups of individuals, or maybe it's just certain users you need to receive that notification. In this case, we'll send that message over to Herbert here. And as soon as I hit save, the system's going to continue to work like normal for me. But as soon as Herbert logs into the system from any location or any device, that message that you sent over is going to be the very first thing that they see within the system. They can actually click on anything that they want within the system, but it won't let them leave that page until they mark that they agree that they read and understood that message. As soon as they mark that and hit continue, they're able to go request that trade or submit time off like normal. And you as the administrator are going to have that peace of mind that you know the exact day and time that that individual marked that they read and understood the message that you had sent over to them as well. Another thing I do like to note that you will have full access to when using the Aladtec system is going to be our help section here. Clicking help at the top of the page is going to bring you over to a view that shows you videos and documentation to go side by side with that on how to do basically anything you could possibly want to do within the system. Of course, my job and the rest of my team, our job as system specialists, is to help you out with getting your system set up, ensuring that you have all the training that you need and trained as frequently or as many members as you need to get the system rolling. But sometimes if you have a quick question, it is kind of nice to be able to get that video that'll walk you through that issue. Of course, you do also have full access as a customer to contact us as well. We do have a direct phone line that rings to our support team, as well as email for our support and online chat support. As I noted, myself and the rest of my team, we will, of course, if you decide to take a look at the Aladtec system, help you set up a system that is going to properly fit the needs of your organization, make sure that everything is built out and set up correctly for what your team needs, and then help with training to make sure all of your administrators and members know exactly how to use the system that you're looking at. That is all of the information I had for the general section of our system today. Let's take a look if we have a couple of questions here. Oh, perfect. So it looks like Eric is sending over a quick question saying, do we need to call you for changes to the system? You do not need to call us, although you are more than welcome to call over to us. We are more than happy to help walk you through any changes that might need to take place within your system. You do have full access to make almost every change you can need to your system. If you click on the name of your department in the top left and select Setup, this is going to be where you can make all of those back-end changes. You can define those different levels of permissions, those different working rules, and even create new schedules and make sure your holidays and pay periods are set up correctly. You have full access to make all the changes you need in your system. However, we are always here to help you out and more than happy to do so as well. And RJ is asking if we can assign labels to somebody who is working. You definitely can add any labels that you need to an individual's shift. If I pull back over to that hourly editor, you're able to see that we have an option down at the bottom here called time types. You'll be able to set up those time types to have a customizable list of any different labels you might need associated with somebody's shift. So for example, if we need to change the label here on Tim's shift for the day to be overtime, I can hover over the shift, select the option to change time type, and add that overtime label to that shift for the day. You will also be able to break out that information for those different time types and labels in any of the reports. So if at the end of the year you need to run a report to see all of the hours that were worked that have the training label associated with them, you can easily run that report and see how many hours for the department and for each individual at the organization there as well. So that's all the time that we had here for questions at this point. Next thing that I just wanted to fill out here is, or I wanted to note that in your GoToWebinar area there, you should have full access to see a couple of quick handouts that will help you out with the system there as well. In that handouts area, it's going to give you information related to how you can see what's going on with our organization, documentation for how Aladtec has helped other fire and rescue organizations, and other information that might help you make that quick decision of whether or not to take a look at the Aladtec system again. Hopefully today's discussion was able to help you out with those different things you might need to see as far as streamlining scheduling chores, improving some of those internal communications, tracking certifications, overtime, and any other number of scheduling related tasks. Myself or anyone else on our system specialist team would be more than happy to create a more in-depth demonstration unique to your agency as well. And if you do want to see any more details, customer reviews, videos, or sign up for a demo, feel free to visit that aladtech.com address as well. You can also give us a call at 888 749 5550, and we'll be happy to help you out there. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.